Today I'm telling you all about my own recent back injury and, as a physical therapist, what I've been doing to help. So I've been a physical therapist for over 20 years, and I recently experienced my own back injury, and I thought it might be helpful or interesting for you to hear what I've been doing for myself on this healing journey. So 4 weeks ago, I fell while snowboarding. So we were up in the mountains, I was snowboarding, and I was on my own on this one run. So our kids were in a lesson, my husband was at the lodge waiting for me for lunch, and I was coming down. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I am definitely still a beginner snowboarder. I've been doing it for a long time, but really just hit or miss, so just a handful of times. So I'm just getting back into it, and I've kind of committed this season to trying to get better. So I was coming down the mountain, it was freezing that day, there was a lot of ice, I hit an edge, and I fell directly onto my back. So I didn't fall like onto my sit bones like I was sitting, I fell smack onto my back, and I had a lot of pain. I was screaming, I was yelling, I thought for sure I was gonna have to have the ski patrol come up to help me down. I was trying to get my phone out to maybe call my husband to come help. It was extreme pain. So I took my time, okay, slowly but surely. I tried to sit up, I got up to my feet, and I was actually able to snowboard back down. So the first thing that I knew, that simple assessment, the fact that I actually was able to get back down, get my snowboard off, and walk into the lodge to find my husband, that told me I probably didn't need immediate medical attention. So that's always the first question to ask when any injury happens. Do you need immediate medical attention? And there's nothing wrong if you do. If you do, seek it out, absolutely. But the fact that I was actually able to very slowly snowboard down, take my snowboard off, walk upstairs, and have a conversation, that told me, okay, I think we're gonna be able to get back home. We have an hour-and-a-half drive, but I think we're gonna be able to get back home. That was really my first question always, is this immediate, or am I gonna have a few hours before I need to figure out what I need to do next? So that was the first answer to that question for myself. From there, I knew very quickly that I could not sit down. I did not want to sit down. My body said, do not sit down whatsoever. So instead, I started doing a few movements to assess where I was. I know function. I know that to be able to function on any given day, I need to be able to get on and off the toilet. I needed to be able to get in and out of the car for us to drive home. I needed to do a few of those things. I need to be able to go up and down stairs. So I had already walked up the stairs to find him. So standing there, I did a few very small squats. And I want you to know I was shaking while I was doing this. I was almost in tears. It hurt so bad. I was still in shock, okay? So shock happens, some with an injury, but that was my own movement assessment right then. Again, am I gonna be able to get home? So I was able to do just a couple really small squats. I could not do a lunge. So that told me something too right away. So I did a few movements to see if I was gonna be able to be functional the rest of the day. That was kind of my next step. And all of this was just to be able to get us home. Then once I got home, I did my own kind of physical therapy. So this is just me personally. I am not telling you to necessarily do this when you have a back injury. All injuries are different, but for me, I iced it. So I started icing. I started doing a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. So I started doing a lot to try to heal it. And I knew I wanted to see how I was gonna be the next day. So I woke up the next day expecting a lot more pain, and actually it wasn't more. So I knew at that point, okay, am I still functional? Yes, I actually had a good night's sleep. I'm able to get in and out of the shower, on and off the toilet, those kind of things. So I don't need to see a doctor today. But I quickly found out what I couldn't do. So I'm gonna give you here, starting with this one, I wanna give you a few pieces of advice and just some tips if you're experiencing some of this injury or healing yourself. And the first one is to find some moves that are difficult, okay? So for me, right away when I went to put on my pants, I could not do it. Absolutely not. I saw stars. Like I could not bend over and balance on my left leg to put on my pants, but I could on the right. So I made a mental note. I'm like, this is important. One, it's important for me to kind of see that I can't do this. But two, that's going to be my checkpoint going forward. Okay, so that was something that was really hard for me to do. Then later that day, I got down on the floor and I saw, oh wow, I can do a bridge. I can do some Pilates movement, but I cannot roll down. I mean, absolutely not. I can't even try. So those kind of things, I recommend finding out what you can't do or what's hard and really write it down, or maybe videotape it or tell someone so that you have a really accurate picture. And this is why. That is going to be something you come back to for comparison, because as you heal, typically it doesn't happen as fast as we want it to. And so we start to think, I'm not healing, I'm not getting better, I'm not getting better. But then, and even I have had those thoughts over the last 4 weeks, but you know what I can check back to? I can put my pants on now. I can balance on my left leg and put my Pilates leggings on, and I don't think twice about it. I know I am getting better because of that, because I remember that was a position that was so hard for me to do. So one of my first tips is to find some things that are difficult and just write them down. Take note, because that's going to be kind of a guidepost that you use when you look back to see if you are healing. So going back to my story, I had to decide if I needed to see a doctor or not. And that's something only you can decide for yourself. But I'll tell you what I did for me. And it was looking at my progress. So I took each day at a time. And again, I checked 1, am I completely functional? 2, anything weird, like am I experiencing numbness or tingling? Am I having a hard time going to the bathroom? Anything like that is kind of a red flag of something that you might want to see the doctor for. For me, it was a lot of soreness, some really sharp shooting pains with certain positions, but if I did other positions, I could avoid them. Again, I was functional. I was even able to go walk on the treadmill. So I didn't feel a need to go to the doctor yet, but I was checking my progress. And so that's something you want to really know. Healing is not linear. It's not a straight line up and down, but you do want to see a pattern of improvement. And that's what I was looking for. Is I knew I was going to have good days and bad days, but overall, was I getting better from that initial injury? And I set kind of my own time frame. I said, if I am not any better within a week, I'm going to go see a doctor then, get tests, do what I need to do. I also saw a physical therapist in that time who I know and I trust to do an assessment and help me out. So that's a great tip as well, is seeing a physical therapist, seeing someone that you trust who maybe knows your body already, and seeing what their opinion is, and understanding then that you can take that information in to help guide you. But yes, only you know when the right time is to see a doctor or to see a healthcare professional. For me, it was seeing a physical therapist to kind of help me assimilate what was going on, give me an outside opinion, and help direct me on my way. And again, along with that, just remember, you're gonna have good days and bad days. It's not a straight line, but just know that you wanna be able to look back and see a pattern of improvement. You want the days and the times that you feel good to last longer, and you want that time that you're hurting to be shorter, okay? That's the progress and the pattern that you want to see. And along with that, another tip I have is to know that you will have some sore days, and typically they're after your really good days. So even after 4 weeks, which is where I am now, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with healing sometimes. So even after 4 weeks, I am starting to finally have some really good days, but then I'll wake up the next day and be really sore. And this happened just the other day. And that is normal. It's easy for our brain to say, oh my gosh, I'm right back to where I was. I can't believe it. I thought I was doing better. Take that to the side and realize, okay, I am getting better. It's okay, I'm waking up sore. And then look at what happened. For me, it was, oh yeah, I've been feeling really good for 2 days. That's awesome. I've been feeling so good that I've upped my activity. I sat in the car for a longer period of time than I usually do. And I walked for over 10,000 steps the other day with the kids. Like, that was my pattern over 3 days. That makes sense that I would be sore. I'm not completely healed yet. It's just my body telling me that. So it's normal to have those days of soreness, especially after a really good day. But as long as your pattern is still improving, then you can stay positive about your healing. My final tip for today about healing is to not be afraid of movement. And this is really hard. This has been a lifelong thing for me too, with endometriosis and prolapse and my hysterectomy and so many things. It's easy to become afraid because we don't know what to do, and that's completely normal. I am very lucky to be a physical therapist that during this injury I was able to talk myself through things. I could look things up. I know anatomy. I know all the verbiage around it. It was easier for me. And so if you're in a spot where you have an injury, maybe you haven't seen someone yet, there can be a lot of fear around it. So first thing, like I said, is go see someone if you want some direction. If you feel yourself really starting to become afraid and really stopping your movement, make sure you see someone to find out what's safe for you to do. In general, if you're doing a safe, gentle movement, it can actually be really helpful. So for me, I experimented. I got on a treadmill and walked. I wasn't walking outside because there was ice and I was very slow and I did not trust myself on ice, and curbs scared me and cars scared me. I wasn't walking outside at all, but I was walking inside safe at a very slow speed on a treadmill. It felt good, so I trusted that I wasn't hurting myself worse. In addition to that, the circulation that it can help with actually can then contribute to healing. So I was using the movement principles I know to be true to talk myself through some really safe movement. But the biggest thing is, yes, rest absolutely when you need to rest. Don't push through pain if you have an injury, especially if you don't know the diagnosis. But don't let yourself become afraid of movement, because we need to move in order to live and be healthy and feel our best. So for me, where am I now? It is 4 weeks since my fall. I didn't end up seeing a doctor. Again, I didn't need to. I am doing much better. I still can't do a roll down or a teaser or certain Pilates moves. I expect that to be another month or two before I can. Between myself and my physical therapist friend, we are both assuming that I have a small fracture in my sacrum. I know that small fractures in that area, there's not a lot you can do for them. So I'll see a doctor if it comes about and I need to, but otherwise I'm trusting myself for my healing. I am following that pattern idea. Is my pattern one of improvement? Am I slowly getting stronger? Am I becoming more functional? Am I being held back at all in the normal things that I want to do? No. I've even gone back to snowboard once, and I will say I was scared out of my mind to do it, but I did it in a very, very safe and controlled way because I want to keep moving, but I want to do it in a smart way to keep this body as healthy and strong as I can. So those are my tips as a physical therapist. That's my story of my own healing right now. If you are going through your own journey of healing, I wish you the very, very best, and I'll see you next time.